Hello and welcome back to Bookish. Today I want to do a December wrap-up and my January TBR. It's January the 1st, so Happy New Year to everybody. And just kind of a real quick run-through of what I read in December and what my plans for January are. So to begin with, I won't belabor the point or go back through the books I read in December in any real detail, because 3 of those books were in my top 10 reads of 2018. So I started off by rereading The Unvanquished by William Faulkner, which I loved very much, and there's a really long review and discussion about the South and what it means to be Southern today on my channel. I also read In the Lake of the Woods by Tim O'Brien, a psychological kind of thrillery book which I absolutely loved. And I think it was number 2 on my best books of 2018 that I read. And I also read Cousin Bet by Honoré de Balzac, which Balzac is one of my absolute favorite authors, and no surprise that book made it into my top 10 list as well. The 4th book that I read, or I should actually confess I'm still reading in January, was The History of the Kings of Britain by Geoffrey of Monmouth. This has been a moderately enjoyable read. Mainly, it just gives kind of some background on some medieval British history slash myth slash, I don't know, tall tales maybe is what we want to call them. But it's been kind of off and on. For me in terms of reading, sometimes I'm really into it and I can plow through 40 or 50 pages at a sitting, and sometimes I'm doing good to finish 4 or 5 pages at a time. I think I'm about 40 pages short, and I plan on reading that today just because I'm too close to the end to DNF it, I think. So then on to my January TBR. In January I have some kind of ambitious plans, some of which have to do with reading and some of which don't. So I hinted that I was thinking about doing this, I think, in my postscript tag about my plans for the future, and I have decided to attempt to read this year the Norton Anthology of English Literature, 4th edition, Volume 1. This is the edition that I used in college, and as many people have pointed out, my Norton's Anthology has seen better days. I did definitely use this one to chalk the tires on my old Camaro one day when I had a flat tire, but I'll be starting this soon, and I don't know how many pages I'm going to read every day. I'm going to take it to work. I'm a teacher, and on my conference period, I oftentimes have 20, 30 minutes of time where I could read. I'm going to take it to work, and I'm just going to see how far I get. I'm going to try to read a little bit every day, and every so often, if I read something in here that I think is really great, I'll update you on my progress and let you know how it's going. And if I give up, and my wife says when I give up, I'll also let you know that I gave up. But I'm going to start with Cadman's Hymn from the Old English Poetry section of my Norton's Anthology. I'm probably going to read that today, and then maybe go on and read The Dream of the Rood if I get that far. Anyway, that was part of my plan, so I want to make sure I included that. You may also have known, if you watched that postscript tag, that I plan on doing a series of videos about Hemingway. I don't know if I want to call this Hemingway Rehabilitated, Hemingway Reassessed, Hemingway Reevaluated, but it just bothers me so much that Hemingway has become one of those writers who it seems almost fashionable to dislike and to dismiss his work, which I think is a real shame, because I do think he is one of the most important and influential writers of the 20th century, at least the first half of the 20th century, and his work should be compared, and his influence as a writer should be compared to people like Fitzgerald or Faulkner or Sinclair Lewis or others. So I do want to do a series of videos about Hemingway. I have a long list of videos I want to do, and I'm going to try to do one a week, every week in January, until I've run out of things to say about Hemingway. So sometime this week I should have my first Hemingway video up. But I also, of course, plan to read. I'm going to participate in Jason's class on mortality and literature, I believe is the name of it. I'm going to kind of dip in and out. I don't think I'm going to be able to stick with it the whole way through, particularly when we get to the Robert Bolano book, 2066. I've read that once, and I'm not sure I am up to reading it again so soon. But I'm going to then read This Republic of Suffering by Drew Gilpin Faust. I don't have my copy yet. It's on its way, so I'll be getting into that really quickly. As a history teacher and as someone who took a graduate course in Civil War history, this is a book that I've been aware of, and this gives me a really great opportunity to read it and hopefully engage in discussion with people who've also read it and who care about the subject through BookTube. I also plan a reread this month. Kelly from Books I'm Not Reading listed Kent Haruf's Plain Song, or Kent Haruf's Plain Song, is one of her top reads of 2018, and I've read the book, and it just didn't make that big of an impression on me. So I feel like, maybe I'm missing something. So, I'm not a big rereader, but I'm going to go back and reread this book and see what I think about it now. I think I read it the first time 6 or 7 years ago, but I'm going to reread this, so that's part of my TBR for January. I also want to read Knightwood by Juna Barnes. This is a book that I forgot I had. I was, for my Christmas Carol review videos, I was searching through the bin of movies we have to see if I could find the copy of one of the versions of Christmas Carol that I thought we owned. I didn't find that, but for some reason in that bin of movies was Knightwood by Juna Barnes, which has an introduction written by T.S. Eliot. This is one of the earliest works of LGBTQ literature. It was published, I believe, in the 1930s, and it's something I've had and wanted to read for a long time, and just forgot I had, and so I'm really looking forward to getting into this book sometime this month. But I think the first book that I'm going to read in January is the library book by Susan Orlean. This is a book that is all over BookTube, and I got this for Christmas, and I want to go ahead and get into it and read it before I see too many other reviews or discussions about it. It is a really just gorgeous book in terms of the physical book, and you may note that I have a thing for books as objects, and so this is actually one of those books that I'm glad I own, just so I can hold it and touch it. Also, I probably should mention that as a part of my Hemingway videos, I will be rereading some Hemingway, probably concentrating on the short stories, which I'll go ahead and give you a preview, I think are the best thing that Hemingway does. But anyway, there's my wrap-up for December and my TBR for January. Let me know what you think about my plans or about the books I chose, and as always, thank you for watching.